Obi told Nkechi that Obi loves Nkechi. And Nkechi told Obi that Nkechi loves Obi too. Who does that in English language? I mean, that's very. This is why we have pronouns. Pronouns are actually used to avoid the unnecessary use of nouns. Everybody knows the meaning of a noun, the name of an animal, place, or thing. So a pronoun is a word that is used in place of a noun in a sentence. As simple as that. Now, go to subscribe to this channel if you have not done so. Let's dive into it.
JAMB is coming. JAMB is coming. It's not time to activate your anxiety, cause nobody can day for you.
Now, I'll be talking about 9 types of pronouns in today's class. Personal pronoun, possessive pronouns, interrogative pronoun, reciprocal pronouns, relative pronouns, indefinite pronouns, reflexive pronouns, intensive pronouns, and demonstrative pronouns. Now we're going to talk about the types of these pronouns one after the other. The first type is the personal pronouns. Now personal pronouns are those pronouns that are used in place of persons or group of people and things. And they are divided into 5 groups. And each group has a subject and an object. What is subject? Subject is the performer of the action, while object is the receiver of the action. For instance, Sabot slapped you. So I'm the subject and you are the receiver of the action. So you are the object while I am the subject. So we have 3 persons under personal pronoun. We have the first person, that is the person that is speaking. We have the second person, that is the person that is being spoken to. Then we have the third person, that is the person that is being talked about. Alright, now for each of these 3 persons, we have the singular form and the plural form. And you of course know what singular is, that is 1, and plural is where we have 2 or more. Alright, now for the first person singular, talking about the subject, we have I. Alright, then talking about the object, we have me. Remember what subject is. Subject is the performer of the action, while object is the receiver of the action. So when I'm the one speaking and I'm the performer of the action, I can be like, I went to school today. But when I am the receiver of the action, I can be like, Nkechi slapped me. Alright, but don't forget that I'm the one that is making the statement. So that is why it is the first person. Now, for the first person plural, me, I becomes we. For example, we can say, we went to school today. Now, for the object, we can say that Nkechi slapped us. Now, for the second person, singular and plural, both subject and object, we just have you. Okay? For instance, I can say that, I told you to do this. Alright? Then if you are more than 2 or 3 persons, I can also say, I told you to do this, whether it is singular or plural. Then this is for objects. Now for subjects, I can be like, you told me to do this. Okay, you're now being the subject while I'm now being the object. Are we together? Now for the third person, that is the thing that is being talked about. In the singular, we have he, she, it, while in the plural we have they. All right, that's for the subject part. I can say he went to school today. Then when I'm referring to more than one person, it becomes they went to school today. But when the third person is the object of the sentence, it now turns to him, her, and it for the singular. Then and for the plural, it becomes they. For instance, I can say, I told her to do this. Then for the plural, it becomes, I told them to do this. Are we together, class? Remember, if you have any questions or confusion, do well to relate it in the comment section. The next type of pronouns we'll be talking about is the possessive pronoun. And that is the pronoun that shows ownership. For example, this is my pen. This is your pen. The book is hers. The next type of pronoun we'll be talking about is the interrogative pronoun, and we use these pronouns to ask questions. For example, how are you doing? What is your name? Who will subscribe to my channel today? Which one of the two? Now, for relative pronouns, we use them to introduce relative or adjectival clauses. For instance, which, that, who, whom. For instance, in a sentence like, this is the girl whom I told you about. This is the girl that stole the goods. So that word, that, is introducing the clause stole the goods, that stole the goods. Alright, so they introduce adjectival clauses, and adjectival clauses tells us more about the noun in a particular sentence. Now, I can remember those days when we were little, my dad would be like, someone should sweep the house, and everybody will be looking. I'll be looking at my sister, and my sister will be looking at me, because nobody was mentioned. And that word somebody is actually an indefinite pronoun. When we use words like someone, somebody, anybody, anyone, everyone, we are being indefinite because we are not specific. In sentences like some people will come, everybody will do it, we are not being specific. That is why we call it indefinite pronouns. The next is reciprocal pronouns. And reciprocal pronouns are those pronouns that are used for something that is mutual. For example, they love each other. Then you can say they fought one another. Now, the difference between each other and one another is that each other is used for two persons. I can't say Obi and Ada loves one another. It is wrong. Rather, I say Obi and Ada love each other. But when I'm referring to more than two persons, I use the pronoun one another. Now, let's talk about reflexive pronoun. Have you referred to yourself in a particular sentence before? Then you are actually using reflexive pronouns. For instance, I slapped myself. I kicked myself. She sings to herself every day. It means that the action is directed towards the person that is speaking. Now, the difference between reflexive pronouns and intensive or emphasizing pronouns is that emphasizing pronouns emphasize that that action was not done by anyone else but me. For instance, the principal rang the bell himself. It means he did not send Obi, he did not send Musa, but he did it himself. And let me give you one secret quote for your JAMB examination. Whenever you want to differentiate between reflexive and emphasizing pronouns, if you remove the pronoun and the sentence still makes sense, then it is emphasizing. For instance, if you say the principal rang the bell, perfectly correct. But when you want to emphasize that the principal did not send Musa to ring the bell, rather he rang it himself, you can now say the principal rang the bell himself. You can see the difference, right? Reflexive pronouns is showing us that the action was directed towards oneself, while emphasizing or intensive pronouns shows that the action was done by the person, by himself. Do you understand? Now, the last pronoun we're looking at today is the demonstrative pronouns, and these are those pronouns that are used for pointing out things. For example, this is my pen, these are my students, those are my cars, that is mine. Now, I want to ask you a very important question. What is the difference between this and those? When do you use this is my car and those are my cars? Let me know in the comment section. I'm sure that you enjoyed today's class. Do well to subscribe to this channel so that you get notified when I make my next video. Kudos.